All right, so I'm going to start just by doing the three main exercises and stretches that I do to loosen up the psoas and start mobilizing the hips. So the number one stretch that has really helped me. So you sit in a cross-legged position like this. Take one foot over the opposing knee. So all I'm doing is just trapping down this one knee right here with my foot. I take the arm that is the same side as the knee I'm trapping down. See, I'm holding down my left knee, trapping the left knee, and then raising up the left arm. And I steady myself with the other hand by grabbing my foot. And then all I'm doing is just bending to the side. And you're going to start feeling a stretch right down the entire side of your body, the obliques, all of that. It's going to start loosening it up. Sitting in this position, and from here I start kind of just oscillating around, so I'll turn back a little bit, start feeling it stretching a little bit more towards the front, not as much just like the oblique and the side. Turning back a little bit, see if I can extend farther, really feel that stretch. I'm taking my left arm and I'm letting it really drift over my body, and that way I'm getting a stretch all throughout the lat, all throughout your oblique, all throughout the psoas, and you're starting to really mobilize, stretch out that whole area. And, the switch, just the exact same, just, opposite side, trap down, my right knee, right arm goes up, grab my other foot just to stabilize, and I start leaning to the side, feel a stretch, I let my arm drift over my head, kind of turn back a little bit, start feeling the stretch a little bit more in the front, holding that position. So all of the stretches I'm going to show, the standard is holding them for 2 minutes, 2 minutes for each side. So hold 2 minutes off for this right, 2 minutes for the left side. And the reason for that is that you need 2 minutes to really lengthen the muscles, like fully. 30 seconds, it's just going to mobilize the range of motion that you already have. A minute will start to lengthen it a little bit, but 2 minutes is the gold standard. You want to hold every single stretch for 2 minutes. Try to really relax into it and kind of contract and then relax. Really kind of push it in the stretches. So that's the main one. If you have really tight hips, then you might not be able to get into this position right here where you have your foot over top your knee and your other knee down. You can even do this stretch without crossing your legs. You can just have your legs kind of sitting right here. You don't have to put your foot up over your knee. And then do the exact same stretch just without trapping down the knee, and just focus on holding that knee down. Flex your knee so you're holding that down to the floor, and you hold that stretch for 2 minutes. So do it as difficult as you're able to. If you're able to get to the full position like that, then definitely go for it. If not, just use the modifications to do what you can, and then start trying to work up to being able to get your foot over your knee and then get the full stretch. The next one is just generally the same position. So if you can get your foot up over your knee, you want to keep a really tight core, and you're just going to lean forward. There's no bend in the back at all. I'm not coming down like that. Tight core, back straight, coming straight forward. Think about pulling your stomach down to the floor. Just push it all the way down to the floor, keeping that straight back. You're going to start to feel stretch like back in your hip and in your butt area. And this is going to start mobilizing just your hips in general. This is going to be part of the whole process of loosening your psoas, loosening up your hips, allowing a little bit more range of motion. It's going to help your back a lot. So leaning forward, feel that stretch, holding that 2 minutes. 2 minutes for every single one. Same thing, switch, trapping that knee down, come forward, pushing that stomach to the floor, feel the stretch, hold that for 2 minutes. And similar to the other one, if you can't get into this position, modification, you let your knee stay up real high. You're gonna grab it with both hands interlocked, and then you're just gonna come forward as much as you can. Just keep leaning forward farther and farther, back straight. Make sure you're pulling that knee up as you're coming forward, and keep drifting down, and you'll feel that stretch. and hold that for 2 minutes. This next stretch is one of my favorite stretches. Really helps with opening up the hips. All you're gonna do is just find a spot where there's a wall that you can get close to. I scoop my butt, maybe a foot or so away from the wall, and you'll kind of have to adjust. But I get 1 foot up on the wall like that. My leg forms close to a 90-degree angle, but I rest my head down, take my other foot, cross it over, and this position right here may feel intense if you have really tight hips. So if you need to scoot yourself back a little bit more just to lessen the intensity, that's okay. But in this position, my cross leg position, I then take my hand and I push on my knee like that. So I am just pushing that knee towards the wall as much as I can handle. Really just moving it around a little bit. You're gonna feel some pretty intense pressure in your hip. You really wanna feel that, kind of push it. Hold that position for 2 minutes. Really feel around, really play with the intensity. Push a little bit farther, kind of release a little bit, push it back, then switch, same concept. Pushing that knee towards the wall. Relax a little bit, push it back out. Scoot closer to the wall if you need it to be a little bit more intense. Hold that for 2 minutes. All right, the last main thing that I really do, so I've gone through some of the stretches to help lengthen the muscle and mobilize it, but there still is some actual deep tissue work that needs to be done. So for this, you can use a baseball, lacrosse ball, tennis ball. You can get massage balls that are pretty hard too. But you just want a fairly hard ball of some kind. And all I do, turn it like this. Lay down. So your psoas is basically from close to your hip crease up to about the bottom of your rib cage. So this space right here. And it's just and it runs up and down kind of like that. And all I'm doing with this ball is trying to press into the tissue and start actually kind of just mashing around, finding any tight spots, just tacking down the muscle, massaging it around, seeing if you'll feel if you can hit a knot. And I just get all the way up and down. And keep going. Just all the way up, find any spots, down, and really kind of press it into that tissue. It helps if you have like a kettlebell or something that you can use to kind of press it down. But just add pressure. You can kind of sit up a little bit, kind of flex the muscle, get into it a little bit more, like that. Same thing for the other side. You can, this is, it doesn't have to be 2 minutes for this. You just want to really just kind of dig into it a little bit. Another way that might work a little bit better, if you're having a hard time finding it, is I'll actually lay on it. So you put the ball on the floor. Same thing, I'm just getting this whole region in here. I'm just rolling up and down, just really mashing into it. So get down like this, and you'll probably feel it a little bit more. And I'm just moving around, and man, you can feel it. Even for me, it can get pretty intense, but you can kind of adjust how much pressure you're putting on it and just really get around. Try to loosen up that tissue. Find those problematic spots. Sit on them for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then keep moving around, trying to mobilize it. So those are the 3 main things that I find really help me. I think if you do those 3 things consistently, it's going to start opening up your hips. Your back's going to start feeling better, and it might not be instantaneous. You may need to do it, every single day for a week or something like that. But keep really pushing it in all those exercises. I think it'll really help. So those are the main ones. Like if you don't have time to do other stuff, those are the main highlights. There's a few more just kind of bonus things you can do that will help loosen up that entire area a little bit more. So one of them, probably have seen this. It's the yoga pose. You're just getting down like this, pushing yourself up. You're gonna feel that stretch in your abdominals, in your psoas, and I like to kind of move back and forth a little bit, to the left and right. You're just getting that stretch. If you want to intensify the stretch, just squeeze your butt, flex it so you're pulling your hips down, and then you're just driving up even more. Make sure you keep your shoulders kind of pulled back like that to keep it safe. But you can feel that stretch throughout there. Same thing for that, 2 minutes if you can. One of the other ones that you can do, just a hip flexor stretch. We have one knee down, foot kind of flat, other foot up. You have your leg form a 90-degree angle, and I'll either lean kind of forward like this or just keep a hand on my core. The goal of this is to really keep a tight core, like flexing your abs, keep the core tight, and all you're doing is just coming forward like that. Just keep drifting forward, you'll feel a stretch, and really make sure the back, you're keeping a straight line for your back, your core is engaged, and you're just drifting forward with your hips. And you can modify this and make it a little bit more difficult by raising the hands overhead. That you can really start feeling it, start lengthening all the tissue in here. Similar to the other stretch, kind of turn like that. Same thing, 2 minutes if you can. Switch to the other side and do that. So those are all the ones that I would really recommend. So those are the main ones that will really help mobilize the hips. It's really important initially to be very consistent with it. So I would say at least 3 days a week do those. If there's pain or discomfort, if you're having back pain or back discomfort, at least 3 times a week. Obviously every day is the best, but you can get good results from just 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And then once the pain and discomfort subsides a little bit, then it can be reduced to doing it once a week, twice a week, something like that. It's just much harder to build that mobility than to maintain it. But once it's built up, then it can just kind of skate by doing enough to keep it on that same level. So yeah, I think that's really just the most important thing, is just consistency with it, and just give it time. Work through it. And it would be good to add in some core exercises on top of this. Just like some planks, stuff like that. Exercises where the core is stabilizing. So stuff like crunches where you're flexing your spine, not so much. Just things where that whole core is being taken into it. Plank, side plank, staying in the push-up, like the top position, that works too. And all those things will kind of help build that strength to help take pressure off the back. So hopefully that this helps. If there's any questions on any of the stretches or other things to do, shoot me a message and we can figure something out.